What happens to Dad when he goes to work? Yeah, she's just drawn a picture of a plane and there's 4 windows and there's Dad sitting in the front seat and a very big long set of stairs and all the bags going along the tarmac on the trolley. And yeah, that's her vision of where Dad goes to work. He just goes on a plane. So what actually happens after that, she just didn't really know and understand. And I guess I've built that into the book. Maybe that's the teacher in me. I wanted to build in some learning for the kids and teach them about our beautiful and vast country and what industries we have here that many dads are actually engaged in.
My name is Mad Mumsy and I've been driving the huge dump trucks in Australian open-cut mines for over 10 years now. I wish I had $1 for everyone who said to me, "How does a little thing like you drive those big trucks? You must be rich. Oh, how do I get a job doing that?" My mining friends are asked these questions all the time too. This is what started the Mad Mumsy journey to share stories and tips from living a mining lifestyle and to let others know what it's really like. Not everyone is cut out to be a miner, but why not? What does it take to thrive and survive in this industry? Now let's dig in. Get it? Dig? Mining? Oh, it cracked me up. Today we have Jo Emery on the podcast. And I'll just run through a little bit about Jo so you get to know a bit more about her before we actually sit down and have our chat. Jo Emery is the author of My Dad is a FIFO Dad. She's a mother to 3 children. Saskia, I might have to ask her about the pronunciation on that one. Annika, again, pronunciation, Annika, and Grayson, and wife to Steve. Together they have lived a FIFO lifestyle for 4 years. At this stage, when the book had been written, I will ask Jo about that. And Steve was working 3 weeks away at a time and home for 1 week every month. So those of us who listen to the podcast regularly and are miners know that that's what's generally called a 3-in-1 roster. Be interesting to see if he's still doing the same. Jo has been a principal and senior teacher for the Queensland Department of Education, Training and Employment for a number of years. She is currently on leave to raise her young family while Steve works in Australia's resource industry. At the core of Jo's philosophy has always been the relationships of people in the workforce, in the classroom, and in all walks of life. Born from this is Jo's drive to support her own family and others who are doing the FIFO and DIDO lifestyle, where one member is absent for extended periods of time. Through her work, she aims to help families build resilience, strength and unity. My hope is that all kids can develop an "I'm okay when Dad's away" mindset. Oh, I love that. We all know Mad Mumsy loves the "I'm okay" message, or "Are you okay?" But have we thought about it for kids? That's fantastic. Jo has always penned her thoughts, even from a young age. She's written poetry, songs, scripts and many a short story. The children's books that will be unveiled by the Soul Scribe will be sure to capture the essence of childhood today with messages and learnings for young readers and their families. I have given our listeners a brief intro to you, Jo. Welcome to the podcast, first of all.
Hi, Mad Mumsy. Thanks for having me.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad that we finally got to catch up. It's taken a little bit of time.
It has.
Yeah, but we've made it happen, so that's always fun. I've given our listener a brief intro, so I should say, a brief intro to you. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, perhaps a bit about your family, and if I pronounced your kids' names right, and the rest of it will probably come out in our conversation.
Yeah, sure. Well, as the blurb on my website and how you've described me says, I am mum of 3 kids, Saskia, well done, Annika and Grayson. Saskia is now about to turn 10, Annika's just turned 6 and Grayson has just turned 4. So, they're the delights in my life. I tell you a little bit about myself. Mum to 3 kids, nearly full stop right there. Yeah, my background's in education and I was lucky enough to have worked as a teacher and as a principal for Education Queensland. Had lots of wonderful times being a teacher and a principal. But yeah, since then, I'm just a full-time mum now. I shouldn't say just a full-time mum, should I? It's a full-time job. There's so much more to that. So yeah, very happy to be a full-time mum to my 3 kids.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, both go to the local primary school here on the Sunshine Coast. Good kids, pretty lucky to have them. Lucky they chose me. So they feature in my work, which is it's funny flicking through the book now and comparing to how they were back then. They've really grown so much, so it's nice.
Well, we will delve into the book, obviously. That's why I thought it would be a great idea to have you on the podcast. Mm-hmm. Thank you again. But, you know, I've warned you about the Beers with a Minor podcast. As first question, sometimes we get sidetracked and it ends up being the last question. But look at me, remember, and it's the first question. So here we go. You ready? As this podcast is called the Beers with a Minor podcast, I like to start these happy hour episodes with my guests sharing their favourite beverage and also their favourite time to enjoy it. It could be a beer, wine, spirit, or perhaps even a cup of tea. What is yours?
Mine, Mad Mumsy, is a nice glass of Sauv Blanc. This afternoon, I'm drinking an Oyster Bay Sauv Blanc. Cheers. I like to have my wine of an afternoon. If it's a weekend afternoon, about 3 or 4, so about now. So it's nice to be having it with you today. But sometimes in the evening, after the kids are settled, perhaps in bed, I like to have a wine then. Or, you know, happy hour sometimes needs to be during the crazy witching hour as well. So, yeah.
Yes. That used to be my favourite time when my kids were little, was while you're cooking tea.
Yeah.
Cooking tea and getting everything organised and homework and this and that.
Yeah, yeah. One for me, one for the pot.
That's it. And you have ice in your wine or you don't? Yes,
I'm an ice with my Sauv Blanc kind of girl. Especially in the summer months. Yeah, if I've been out on the mower or, outside chasing kids around, always like ice, yeah. It has to be cold.
Oh, me too. I think it might be a Queensland thing. They say it needs to be room temperature, but not when it's, 80% humidity and 32 degrees or something.
Yeah, no, nobody likes hot wine. No, not at all.
Totally agree. Absolutely. I've had a few discussions about this in the podcast. So some people are like, it's sacrilegious to put ice in wine, but most of those are supplements, I might say. Yeah. Dear, well, my listeners know that my favourite beverage is a 4X Gold can. So cheers to you, Jo.
Cheers to you. Thank you.
Cheers. And I can hear your ice tinkling. Okay, let's get stuck into your book. So it said in that outline there, that's where I got outline. It said in that outline there about that you've always been a writer, that like you've grown up always writing things. Yeah, where did that come from, do you think?
Yeah, just growing up, I guess I've always had my strength in the English literacy department, whereas others might be a little bit more maths-minded and ended up, as doctors and engineers and all that sort of stuff. But I've got more of a creative brain and, I've always penned my thoughts. I've always been one to keep a diary and write poetry, of heartbreak and hopes for the future. Yeah, so I've always written things down. I've written songs, and when I was teaching and worked out west, one of my neighbours, he played a guitar, so I'd write songs and we'd sing along together at happy hour and have a good old time. So, yeah, I've always been a bit of a scribe.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I'm like you. Maths was never my thing. So then your husband, so you've written a book about, and sadly mine didn't arrive in time for the interview.
Sorry about that.
No, it's Australia. It's Australia Post. Oh, I love
Australia Post, the mother-in-law.
Yeah, we will.
Maybe it was me.
No, I'd put money on it that it will arrive tomorrow. And I'm looking. Oh, actually, it'll arrive in divine timing, in perfect timing, and I'll connect so much more to the book when it first arrives because I'll have already met the mum, the author.
Yeah.
So I have obviously looked into the book a bit, and it looks fantastic, and I've seen reviews about it and seen it talked about on social media and things. So, okay, you're a writer, but what made you decide I need to write about this shit? You know, people are going through stuff and families need help, obviously, is what I'm thinking. From your experiences, you decided to do that. Is that how it unfolded?
Well, it's quite funny, Mad Mumsy. I never actually planned to write this book. Like most things I do in my life, it's based purely on emotion. I'm fairly emotionally driven in all aspects of my life. So as it happened, I was pregnant with Grayson, number 3, and on this particular day, it was fly-out day, and we had to drive my husband Steve to the Brisbane airport. And we got stuck in traffic, and it was literally a drop-off at the airport, and it was just horrible.
Sorry, like a tuck and roll?
Pretty much, yeah. Door was open. I had the left leg out and just gave him a little push, and out he went. Yeah, it was really heartbreaking. And in the aftermath of that, which was really the drive, the first hour, the drive home, the girls were pretty devastated, particularly Saskia. She was at that age where she knows what's happening. Steve was going away for 3 weeks, and it hurt, and we didn't get to do the long, warm embrace, kisses and cuddles, love yous. We just didn't get to do that. It was really hard. So, yeah, we did pull into Maccas after that, and a soft serve cone and a few chips, you know, it did help. But I thought about it for a long time after that. Well, particularly that night, I'd had a couple of glasses of Shiraz, and I was just unpacking the day in my head, and pen and paper, just had it there ready to go. I guess the story's told through the eyes of a little girl who misses her dad. And so, yeah, I sat on my bed with my glass of wine and told a story of how it all happened. And with that, I wanted to build into my story the message that it's going to be okay. She's going to be okay. Dad still loves her as much as he does when he's with her. It's just that he's gone to work. I wanted to build in a little bit of resilience for her, teach her resilience through the message of the story, I suppose, and let her know that she is strong and she is resilient and she is okay. Dad's gone to work. So I guess that's how it all started, Mad Mumsy. I can confess that we have never, ever dropped Steve to the airport again. I said to him, we can't do it anymore. It's too tumultuous. It's awful. We pack him up on the the bus transfer, and it works better for us who you know have him leave the home, but also for him leaving the home. We get to do, this is our happy space. We get to do a nice goodbye here at home, and off he goes to work, like most other dads, you know, do. Yeah.
But that's a lot better for you, because it's about an hour from the Sunshine Coast down to Brizzy? Was it a bit shorter now, the highway's better? Or
No.
When he comes home, obviously he does the reverse. He comes back on the connections, and that gives him a bit of time, unwinding time as well, before he comes home.
Yeah, he's just he's been, up until a week ago, he's been flying back from Darwin, and his roster was 3 and 1 then. and he left, in the dark of morning, and he came home in the dark of morning. So we don't live far from the Aussie World Transit Centre, I suppose. So, he comes home in the morning. So he's got a full day with the kids. From Darwin, he used to catch the red eye home, so he'd be home when the kids woke up, which was good.
So is he still, you did say his roster's changed, but is he still coming out of Darwin?
No. He's now offshore out of Broome.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so he's trying something new. He's trying something new. He's accepted a position there because we feel that we've got the golden roster finally, 7 years in. He's on an even time now, so I think, that's going to be great.
So even time to me, my even time roster is 1 week on, 1 week off. But you mentioned in our pre-chat that he's now doing 3 weeks on, 3 off. But he was doing 3 weeks on before, having 1 off. So he's still away for the same amount of time, but he's home for 3 weeks. I bet that's changed a lot.
Hooray! Yeah, we're stoked. Yeah, we're pretty stoked. We found, I guess, with the distance from Darwin to here to Queensland, that's 7 days. We have travel time chewed into that, so it's only the 5 days. So we're really looking forward to having him home for the 3 weeks. Yeah, and still away for the 3 weeks of work.
Yeah, but so that hasn't happened yet. He hasn't had his 3 week stint off yet because he's just started doing this, hasn't he? Ah, right. Yeah. So that'll be some big changes in the family then.
Yeah, big changes. For the first swing, he's away for a month because they do all of the induction and extra training and stuff to do with offshore. Yeah, so we're looking forward to having him home for 3 weeks, and that will put him home for Christmas this year. Woohoo! We're pretty happy about that.
Well, so he's worked away for Christmas before then?
Yes, at different times. We've been pretty lucky in the time. It hasn't been often. More often than not, he flies Boxing Day, but, to have him there on that day is always lovely.
Oh, that's fantastic, isn't it? So we were talking about the roster changing. So we'll just get back to the book. So you had the tuck and roll at the airport. That inspired you to write about how you felt about it. So how did that then evolve into like a full and it's not just an ebook, or it's not an ebook. It's a real book printed. I know it's not an ebook because I was going to buy it.
You would have it. Stop it.
No pressure.
Guilt is killing me. So I wrote the story and pretty much just scratched it out on A4 paper. The next day I read it to Saskia. I said, hey, last night I wrote a book. Do you want to listen to it? And, so I read it to her. She was completely quiet at the end, and she just kind of drew a breath, looked up, and she had tears in her eyes, and she said, wow, Mum, that's about my dad and me. And tears are streaming down her face, and we had this really nice embrace, and I went, it's about you and Dad. In my head, I went, I don't need to do anything with this. That was magic, that she knows the message already about her and her dad. Anyway, I shared the story with Steve, and, of course, he's my number one fan. He said, you've got to do something with this. It's a beautiful story about a little girl. It could be any little girl. It could be any child, and it could be any dad in this situation. Anyway, so I sat on it for a while and looked into publishing and the costs associated, and I can't draw. So I was like, well, if it's going to be a children's picture book, I need someone who can draw, One of the pages, the first page actually in the introduction, it's actually illustrated by Saskia. And I guess it's her view of What happens to Dad when he goes to work? Yeah, she's just drawn a picture of a plane and there's 4 windows and there's Dad sitting in the front seat and a very big long set of stairs and all the bags going along the tarmac on the trolley. And yeah, that's her vision of where Dad goes to work. He just goes on a plane. So what actually happens after that, she just didn't really know and understand. And I guess I've built that into the book. Maybe that's the teacher in me. I wanted to build in some learning for the kids and teach them about our beautiful and vast country and what industries we have here that many dads are actually engaged in. So, yeah, there's a little bit of education in amongst the story of this little girl and her dad. So, continuing on for how did the book become a published piece, I went to a couple of workshops. Even though I was a teacher and I've read thousands of books to kids over the years, I wanted to do it properly. So, yeah, I did a couple of courses and I met up with some amazing authors, another fellow on the Sunshine Coast who's a well-renowned author here with children's picture books. He looked at me after reading it and said, "This is amazing that you've come today to the workshop because I've actually been approached myself by a psychologist who also believes that there's a need for a children's picture book around this topic." And he said, "I've never actually been able to write something because I'm not personally connected with the situation and that lifestyle." And he said that he thought the work was amazing and he gave me some pointers to refine it. I went back and scribbled bits out and added things in, but in essence, it's pretty much what came from my heart on that first day. Yeah, and what, Saskia read as her story about her dad. So, yeah, I had it published. I partner published with a company that unfortunately has dissolved now. However, I'm still connected with my illustrator and we've often talked about moving forward and doing other things together. But as I said to you in my pre-chat, I have all of these plans and, life sometimes gets in the way and the years roll by.
And you're doing nothing else, right?
Yeah.
You've only got 3 kids and...
No, I've got a fair bag. I've got a fair bag of stuff to deal with.
You have also got the cards that go along with it. Can you talk about those? Because I don't know what they are.
Right. Yeah, sure. I just mentioned that this lady approached this author I mentioned just before to engage him in writing a story. Anyway, this author put me in touch with the psychologist. Well, she actually contacted me after I had published my story and she said, "Hey, I wanted to do the same thing. I'd love to meet you. Can we catch up for a coffee?" So I did that and it turns out she's a psychologist, works with Griffin Psychology, one of the industry leaders for supporting FIFO and the mining industry. And I told her of my plan that I wanted to develop a resource package for families to help them stay connected with the one that they love that is away. And I've written it in such a way that it could apply to mum, auntie, grandfather, dad, whoever. Because let's face it, most of us have someone absent that we love and miss. And for kids, it's if you don't address it, if you don't talk to them about the situation, they don't know how to deal with it. So in my mind, I felt that if I gave some tools built around a positive psychology framework, it would really help families. My activity cards are called "I'm Okay When You're Away." And, the subline is "Building Strength, Resilience and Unity for FIFO and DIDO Children and Families."
Oh, that sounds awesome. I can't wait to see them.
Yeah.
And I'm not having another go at you. I'm serious.
I'd understand if you were.
Yeah. Just the guy on the Sunshine Coast who inspired you to keep going and help? Did you want to give him a shout out? Is he still
I would
doing
love to, yeah. Peter Canavis, he's written many a children's book, and great bloke, tells lots of wonderful stories through the eyes of kids. And just a really nice guy. And, I'm really grateful to have met him and, been encouraged to pursue my story.
Yeah, it's good to have someone that sees what you're doing and says, "Come on, you can do this. We can do this. Let's make it happen." And I'll definitely leave those in the show notes. And the show notes for this episode can be found at madmumsy.com/beers41. That's the number 41. Now for a word from our sponsor. Welcome Julia Hartman and the Bantax Accounting Group to Team Mad Mumsy. Julia is my awesome accountant. She has written 2 books with financial expert Noel Whittaker and has a passion to help us miners make the most out of our hard-earned cash. Head to bantax.com.au/miners. That's BANTACS to download your free miners booklet and a spreadsheet that will help you calculate the weight of your tools you need for your job. Why, you ask? Well, you might be able to hitchhike a ride with them and claim your trips to work. Sounds confusing? Not at all. Just head over to bantax.com.au and let Julia and the team help you out. You will also find loads of free information and advice on property investing if you plan to really do some great things with your money. Again, that's bantax.com.au/miners and tell them Mad Mumsy sent you. Just recapping, I'm speaking here with Jo Emery, author of My Dad is a FIFO Dad, and also the activity cards that go along with it. And you're on the Sunshine Coast, your hubby works away, now excitedly doing Eventime roster 3 and 3, 3 little kids. And, you know, like you said, there's a lot of things that you see as possible that you could go forward with this, but life gets in the way. So one of my questions, and it's not that it gets in the way, is it? It's just that it's life. But I just wondered how, when Steve, your hubby, is away, how do you get the kids to connect up with Steve? Do you have like Skype calls or something like that? How do they still feel connected to Steve, their dad, while he's away?
Yeah, sure. A good question. I guess we're very lucky. We've always had fairly good, communication over the phone and the internet. FaceTime's a big one for us. The kids all have Auntie Apple that lives with us. So at any time, I guess my husband's role, I suppose, at work has allowed him some flexibility to get in touch with us if we need to, if he needs to, if we need to speak with him. So we're lucky in that regard. But also a way of staying connected is just I encourage the kids to write down their thoughts, write messages for Dad, pack up little notes and tokens and send them off with him in his bag so he can find them as he, unpacks his bag and things like that. Just little sweet things. We talk about what he's doing, what he would be doing at work. Steve's tried to capture photos of where he is and what he's up to. But another important way of staying connected with your partner or, the kid's father is just knowing and understanding what his away family looks like. And knowing that these people, they look after each other, they look after Dad just by being there with him, and that's his family. So just understanding what it's like out and away from home, when that's the kind of thing we do at home, just, being together and supporting each other while we're at home. He has a network outside of our family home, which is good.
That's right, and it's good for them to understand that and also for you to know that there's people out there who've got his back, and
that's
that
it.
be able to contact him is awesome. Some places the internet connection's crap, or back in the day they have to line up for the phone boxes, and you know, and you can just imagine. It's also good to realise, I think, as well, that your hubby too is one of those support people for his crew as well. You know, I'm kind of like the nana and the mum a bit on my crew, you know. And so when stuff's going down with me, they'll come around and go, hey, what's going on with you, mate? You know, come on. It's not just you helping us. And for a lot of crews, that's how it is. And you have to, like you say, so you said he's offshore. Is he on a oil rig or something?
He's on Prelude, yeah.
What's that? On what?
LNG.
Sorry, I'm mining.
Yeah, dig.
Yeah, I am. That's right. I am a gravel scratcher and proud of it.
Yeah, so it's his first time offshore, which is it's a new experience for him. He's actually, for the first time in 7 years, doing night shift, and it's been a massive challenge these last few days, getting his mental psyche ready for this. But yeah, he sounds really positive. Spoke to him this morning, and he's got a bit more sleep, trying to get his pattern, his body clock back in time and stuff. So yeah, he's sounding positive again. And but in the beginning, he was pretty freaked out. And another thing that he had to do, which was a new thing for him to tick, he had to do the BOSIT training, where they put the simulated helicopter into the water upside down, and they have to escape or free themselves. Yeah. So that was a really big challenge for him, and for us, knowing that he had to do that as well. So that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Wow. I got it now. I'm having flashbacks here. I can't remember. I'll have to ask my sister, the Hard Hat mentor, who's been on the podcast before. Listeners know my blister. And I know that she was doing that because she's been offshore as well. And I can't remember if she got to the point she had to do it or she didn't, or she does and I forgot. If she's done it, I need to dig deeper and I want to hear about that.
Yeah.
But it's not a real helicopter upside down.
No.
It's a simulation of it.
Yeah,
that's right. So, yeah, she would have had to. It's part of going over there, isn't it?
Yeah. I think he said it's 400 Ks off the coast. So about a 2-hour chopper flight. And, you know, obviously safety is key. And they run about 12 choppers every day. So it's, you know, it's something that happens all the time, but they need to prepare them in the worst case scenario. So, yeah, I'm grateful that he's had that opportunity to learn how to free himself safely in the case that the shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Preparation is key, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said he's going back to doing night shift. He's not doing 3 weeks of night shift, is he?
I don't know. I don't know that detail, but I know he's doing night shift now. So whether it's the whole time, I'm not sure. To me, it would make sense though to just do the 3 weeks, but I don't know. I've never done night shift myself, so I don't know.
You do get in a routine. We've spoken about this a fair bit off and on over the podcast, but the thing is, some people get better with time as the longer you go in, your body clock's kicking in, and you know, might as well be day shift. As to be honest, that's how I am, you know. But some people get worse because they don't sleep enough, and the more they do, the less sleep, and then you can imagine after a week of not sleeping, it's not healthy. Yeah. Has he done night shift before?
No, never. He's never ever done night shift, so it's totally new area for him. He said to me the other day, well, I've slept at night time for 36 years. It's a real challenge to sleep during the day. Yeah. So I guess you just take it for granted that, a lot of people do it. So
that's right. And it's not just us busted ass miners, it's nurses and coppers.
Yeah.
And, you know, like heaps of people do night shift. security people, people in bands. Pretty much they just live the night shift, except they're having a bit more fun than us lot, probably. So what about yourself, Jo? Do you have a good support system around you at home? Have you got family and friends, who have got your back?
Yeah, great question. I definitely lean on my family a fair bit. I'd love to lean on them more and go away for a week myself. But no, look, I'm pretty lucky. I've got a great family. Steve's mum's close by as well. She's great with the kids. I speak to my bestie, Jen, every day. Shout out to Jen. She checks in to make sure I haven't gone completely stir crazy. Yeah, so I'm lucky. I've got some lovely friends, and I think people appreciate, for one, that I'm a mother of 3, and a lot of my friends are mums, so we all have that support system for each other. And my good friends know that there's that extra challenge, that I do it on my own. I wouldn't say I'm a single mum, but most times I'm doing it singularly. So shout out to everyone who is a single mum and does a good job at it too. It's a hard gig. But, it's just what I'm doing right now, and making the most of it.
So big shout out to Jen as well and all your friends for having you back. We all need our besties, that's for sure. So do you have any friends, girlfriends, besties, whose partner works away as well?
Yeah, for sure. There's quite a close-knit unit of people here on the sunny coast. Just through Facebook, I suppose, they've found each other. I've made some lovely friends through that group. Admittedly, one of my besties in that group, Kel, we knew each other prior through our teaching days. But, it's great to have friends in the situation who know and understand how difficult it can be, and so I do have friends who have FIFO partners. Yeah,
that's great, and it definitely helps to have people that understand.
Yeah,
that get it. They know what it feels like when their partner goes away. And I interviewed, I don't know if you've heard of FIFO Families.
Yeah, Nicole.
Nicole, or Nicole Ashby. I interviewed her on the podcast, and I'll leave a link to that in the show notes, which can be found at madmumsy.com/beers41. And we went into a big conversation about how she started FIFO Families a lot because a lot of people were only connecting online, which is great to be able to connect online, but you also need to be able to actually, meet up in person and come and get my kids and take them. Or you stay here, I'm going out, just to have a bit more of a real life network, not just online.
Yeah, for sure.
One of her big things was that she saw in one of the Facebook groups where a lady had put on there that her husband had flown off and, she was going to cry for a week. And everyone was saying, oh, that's normal, and Nicole was going, no, it's not normal. Don't make that your normal.
No.
Work around it. Find the strategies, And I also had Kirsty O'Callaghan, who wrote Separated by Work, on the podcast. I'll leave a link to that in the show notes as well. Actually, she was on twice. And she was the same thing. Right, Dad's gone. Now, we all know kind of our roles and what happens now. It takes time to get used to that, but, and then what it's like when he comes back. And I know, just digressing, but I know my stepdad, when he comes back, we know don't go anywhere near him after night shift for that first day. He's just a pain in the ass. He thinks he's fine, but he's not. Hi, Baz. He's been on the podcast too. Mad Baz. And Mum, I think we spoke about this in the pre-chat there, that Mum used to move the toaster and the kettle when he went out because she didn't like where he wanted it, but when he was away, so they, yes, you get sad, you can be sad and upset that they're gone, but it's also a choice. It's you're choosing to live this lifestyle for a reason. Yeah. So you might as well try and make it work, otherwise it's going to all go to shit. and you're either the marriage will end or you'll have a miserable time, all for money, So if you're doing it because of the money, I'm sure he's not just doing it because of the mates he's meeting upside down in a helicopter. You know what I mean? Like plan ahead, and that's what's great about your book is it's teaching the kids right from the start that whole philosophy. That how did you call it? Are you okay?
I'm okay when you're away.
I'm okay and you're away.
Yeah.
I love it. That is such a fantastic mantra.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I think it's important, Mad Mumsy, because, we've only got this one life, and if this is how we're choosing to live it, whether it's for the time being, the long term, the short term, whatever, you have to do it well. You've got to look after yourself, and kids especially, they're resilient, but they've got to get on with what they're doing. Like the little girl Saskia in this story, she still does her dancing and her swimming and school and all that sort of stuff, and occasionally she'll think, I know Dad will be proud of me right now. I am getting on with it. I'm doing what I love to do. Dad's still a part of it even though he's not here. Yeah, look, I certainly don't want to be crying in my wine every day. You've got to set up structures, to keep yourself well and happy, as does the person who is away.
That's right. And that's what a lot of my podcast is about, is how the hell do we thrive and survive? Not just, and this is what come up when I interviewed Kirsty, I had a hashtag survive mining. And she said, survive mining means just stay alive. You want it to be more than that. You want to make it work. And then when I interviewed my sister, the Hard Hat mentor, she said, a lot of people are going on about how hard it is living the FIFO lifestyle, but there's also a lot of people who do it and love it and thrive and survive in the industry. So that's my new hashtag, thrive and survive.
Survive. That's it. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's everyone. That's I was going to say the coal mine worker, the worker, the person who is going away, as well as the person who's left home, and the family, the kids, the mums, the dads, the aunties and uncles, and because it's a choice. So if we're choosing to do it, let's also choose to make it work. And if it doesn't work, if it's not working, well,
get out.
Look what to do and get out. Oh, and you can look back at your history making time when you were a mine worker or whatever,
That's it. Absolutely. Yeah. If it doesn't work for you, then get out, because it's just not worth the anguish, I suppose, and the heartache. You've got to have happiness, and sometimes you have to work towards it. And I guess that's the whole point of my work, especially the activity card. Staying connected is something you need to work at. If you don't work on relationships, then you lose them. And that's whether someone's at home with you or absent from you physically. You just have to work at it. I know I want for my kid's father to be an integral part of their life, and so it's part of his mission as a dad to do that. So he tries to stay connected with him as best he can. And I'm obviously the one at home, so I try and generate that keenness and motivation. Hey, what are we going to do? What's Dad up to? Keeping it positive, keeping it real and positive.
So we might start wrapping it up, I think. Another question that I like to ask my guests on the happy hour episodes is, what is your happy place? What does Jo do when life turns to shit?
Oh, wow. That's a tricky one.
Other than drown in the wine.
Look, I absolutely love the Sunshine Coast. Blessed to be here. And the minute my feet hit the sand and have that cool, fresh, salt water ebbing at my toes, I think that's a fair place to feel happy. I love taking my kids, my family there. There's no place like it. I also love being outside in the wide open spaces. I love being outside doing fun stuff with my kids and my family.
Oh, that sounds like an awesome, happy place.
Mm.
Would you like to share where our listeners can get a hold of your book and the activity cards? What's the best way for them to do that?
Sure. My website is www.mydadisafifodad.com, or you can find me on Facebook. My Dad's a FIFO Dad is the name of my page.
Awesome. Too easy. And I will again leave links to that in the show notes.
Thanks so much for your time and for all the positive energy you bring to those people out there doing it and helping them to do it well. Good on you. And hopefully we'll meet in person one day. We'll have a drink together.
Oh, we will. And I may have some news on that. Well,
good.
In our post-chat.
Post-chat.
After I go and get another beer. Well, thanks so much, Jo, for coming on the podcast. It's time to say goodbye now. We could chat all day, and I have been known to. All the links we discussed in this episode are at madmumsy.com/beers41. That's the number 41, and it's madmumsy with a Z or a Z, depending where you're from. I'd love you to please, if you wouldn't mind, head over to iTunes, which is now called Apple Podcasts, and leave a rating and review on the Beers with a Minor podcast there. It helps to get the word out, and more people can have a listen to all the awesome guests like Jo that I am having on. I've got big plans this year, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for listening. Until next week, stay safe, be real, be special, and have fun, for we only live once. Cheers.